This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's discussion is about making the right choices and controlling impulses. So the discussion really relates to golf, to tennis, to sports, to business, and there's multiple different pieces to this thinking. There's this one concept in terms of impulse control in golf, in that there are times that you'll get to a shot and decide that you're going to go big or go home. This is an impulse to try a club that your odds of being correct are 30 to 40% versus 80 to 90%. But you all remember that one shot that hit the green from 200 yards out, and you want to repeat that shot, even though we can't do that but 1 out of 15 times. It's sort of the impulse control to go for an easier club, lay up, and get close. Very similar. Many things are like this. In tennis, I remember a partner that had one shot he'd love to hit, and I felt horrible if he hit it well early in the match because they would repeat it again and again, and his typical probabilities on it were so low. In business and in so many things, there's similar concepts. In business, if you find things that work, you've got great people, great teams, great clients. The concept is, and great processes, the concept is to double down on what works and not shoot for the moon and take ridiculous chances. If you got a great person who handles clients fantastically well, you more and more want to go back to that person or that team or those people to handle those things. Where you get into trouble is you try on impulse the wrong person for the job. I mean, similarly, if you find that a person that you work with regularly constantly the two finds extremely irritating, the wrong thing is to keep on going back to that person for that job, for that work, is to find people that you love to work with and love to do business with versus constantly trying to put that square peg in the round hole. We think about this constantly, this concept of impulse control and taking the right shot. In most activities, in most businesses, it relates to constantly doubling down on what works versus trying the esoteric or the crazy. And that doesn't mean, or trying the thing you could barely ever do right. And that doesn't mean that you don't periodically try different things and try different approaches. But if something works regularly, hitting your driver in a certain way, handling clients in a certain way, putting the right people on the right teams, then the real thing in life and business is to keep yourself disciplined and constantly do those things that work right and control your impulses to try so many different things or to go for it. The worst thing that comes out of a golf teammate's mind is, I think I can go for this shot. I think I should go for this. It's actually the worst thing that comes out of one's own mind as well. And there's so many similarities in business and life and sports and everything else that we do. It's this need to sort of know what works for you, double down on what works for you. If something doesn't work for you, don't keep on doing it. Keep on going back to those things that you could double down on that work well. We talk constantly in business, double down on the best clients, double down on the best people. It's very similar in sports. Double down on your best shots. In tennis, double down on the things you could hit well. You know, and learn to live and love the things that you could do well, and not constantly try and, yes, you have to agitate some, but 80% of your efforts ought to be spent on doubling down and doing what you do well. Don't double down on the things that irritate the heck out of you. Do double down on those things that work well for you. Thank you for listening to this version of the Becker Private Equity Podcast, Impulse Control in Business, Sports, and Life. Thank you so much for listening. If you listen all the way through and you love this and you're the first person to text me, feel free to text me at 773-766-5322, and we'll send you an Amazon e-gift certificate. Thank you for listening. What a pleasure, as always. And thank you to my wonderful producer, the best in the business, Chanel Bunker. Thank you very much.